Man, it feels like the Red Sox when they were cursed, because I felt like I was getting cursed.
Because of all the final appearances.
Yeah, you know, 5 times in a row and not win is just, it's hard, you know. But I'm really proud of these guys. I'm super proud of them. I can't be more prouder as a coach, and thank you.
For sure, I always wanted to play here since I was a kid. My dad and my brother always, they worked here when I was a kid at the games, and they always told me they wanted me to play here, and it feels great to get a championship win here.
How about those kids, huh? They've been through a lot on and off the field, and they kept their focus, kept their drive. They are unbelievable, these guys. They are unbelievable. What a pleasure to coach them, to be around them every day. I got to thank the parents for letting me have them for so long.
Heading into this game, I noticed a series of people, of teams who said they had the best defense in the state, and there being a karma to that. Cheshire said it at first. Then they lost to Massac. Then Massac said it, and Massac lost to Wilton. And then Wilton said it last week, and they lost to us. So I think it's pretty clear that we have the best defense in the state.
Let's go!
It means to me that we can finally become, to win a championship at Daniel Hand, it etches you in some sort of Hall of Fame. People remember you. You are looked up to for years and years and years and years to come. There was tons of middle schoolers coming up today, and they were like, you know, you're a beast. It's just, that's the feeling you want to earn your whole life. It was.
It felt really cool too to have the bomb squad down there too. It's something you dream of since you're a little kid, you know, looking up at all those high schoolers making plays, scoring the state title. So just what a way to go out.
Those are the plays you dream of as a kid, and to make a play like that in a stage like this, it's just surreal.
All I know is I have not scored a touchdown. I haven't blocked anybody. I haven't tackled anybody. We have, you know, our town is very much behind our kids, and you know, we have a very special situation in New Canaan. I'm just proud to be their coach.
We knew in that exact moment that was the whole year. That play came in the whole entire year. So we had to, like, the D-line did a great job. They got pushed. And this kid right here. This kid right here. This QB right here. You know, and the defense had to step up and make one big play, you know, at the right moment, and they did it. And then, you know, we talked about how they needed to, you know, tackle like their lives depended on it. There were no moments after that. So.
I feel like, you know, having all my brothers out there, and I know that I always want to do everything I can for this team, this program, the town that backs me up, and just that's the least I can do, is leave everything I can out there. And I know that for a fact. Every single one of our players left everything they could out on that field. Max Murillo making that play, I mean, you don't see that kind of constant, like, pressure and stress and everything like that.
Yeah, that find the point was our mantra the whole off season. We lost by 1 to prep last year, as everyone knows. We all saw in the quarterfinals, and to be able to come out here and do it again and win by 1 to prep and lose to them week 1, and come out here and win by 1, we found the point, and that's what we talked about. We need to find the point. We found it. The resiliency on this team is it can't get any better, and the whole team is feeling the highs of the highs right now. Just like we felt the lowest of the lows on week 1, and the way things switch around, we couldn't be more prouder, and everything that's happened, it's the best feeling in the world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Meat Grinder, your weekly dose of high school football in Connecticut. And I'm your host, Sean Patrick Bowley. With me, as always, is Peter Paguaga. Pete, it's over. We have crowned 6 champions. The 2023 season is over. A fantastic weekend at the 2 state title venues. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A bunch of great games, you know, which is kind of more than we can say about last year a little bit. Just an all-around great day. I still think 6 is too much, and you know, but hey, that's not for now. I thought I had a great time, and I sounded like you did too at Central. How are you doing? And welcome to the final Season 6 episode of the Meat Grinder. Pete, how you doing?
Good. I can't believe we're here. It just seems not so long ago that it was August and we were preparing for the season and the preseason poll came out and we're trying to figure out who's on the players to watch list and what games we need to cover early in the year and players we need to get and teams we need to go see. And now we're sitting here at the early December and it's over. The season is over and I'm sad.
Yeah.
I am sad. It was a weird, long, drama-filled year, but I'm sad.
I'm sad. It's always this time of year. You finish up. It's like when Christmas is over. You're like, wait, that's it? That's it? That's a wrap? We got a whole nother year until you got to wait another 365 days? Till we start up again? I mean, not even. But, yeah, I mean, it's been a slog, though. It's been, like you said, it's been a really kind of a really weird season between – there's been a lot of great events, a lot of great things happen, but also a lot of like sketchy stuff. Lots of rain, lots of coaches being suspended and trying to chase that down and all that nonsense, and just some overall acrimony and just a lot of crazy stuff. So, I mean, in some way, it's bittersweet. Like, I wish we had another game next week. I love high school football in Connecticut, and the other half, I'm just exhausted. I can't wait for Christmas, can't wait for the New Year's, and then we start fresh and new with winter season. So. Hey, what are you going to do? But we have reached the final Game Time CT Meat Grinder podcast of the season. And the top 10 poll, Pete, has dropped. We have our 6 champions and the number 1 team for the first time since 1975, the Staples record. The Wreckers finished 12-1, defeating West Haven in a thriller, 21-20 at the Class Double L Championship. Just an amazing job by Adam Behrends and his quarterback, Caleb Smith, and Marullo and Petrosino. And the Wreckers, I can't believe it's been since 1975, which is when I was born, that Staples hasn't been. I didn't even know if they were ranked in their history, but just an amazing job by them. And I voted Staples number 1. I know there are a lot of people out there who wanted it to be maybe New Canaan, or definitely a lot of people out there wanted it to be North Haven, but I think Staples is your legit number 1. Pete, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was easy. Once they won the Double L game, I think for sure it was a slam dunk. They avenged their only loss of the season against a really good West Haven team. A West Haven team that North Haven did beat this year. All right, let's not shy away from acknowledging the fact that North Haven did beat West Haven this year. They also lost to Shelton. They also had a second loss, which was a forfeit, and I'm sorry, but it counts. Okay, that forfeit is the reason why Darien's in the playoffs, which was the reason why Darien went to the finals, right? If they play that game and North Haven does win, L is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So the loss counted across the board, and it affected many teams to forfeit loss. And when Anthony Sagnello decided to forfeit that game, he was showing that there are consequences. And unfortunately, that second loss is another consequence for the team. The voters took it seriously and did hold it against the North Haven team having that second loss. Look, being number 3 in the state is not a bad thing. Second time in their program history they've been number 3. I think they finished number 3 in 2015 as well. I'm a little shocked by how big of the outcry it is. I thought we'd hear more about New Canaan not being one, but a lot of outcry, some nasty emails.
Yeah.
Some nasty
DMs.
Comments, some nasty DMs, but look, man.
They all think we missed it.
Well, they all think we got paid.
Yeah.
That email, that one email thinks we got paid by Staples to not vote for North Haven. What is going on here?
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. The voters all agree with us for the most part. We had a few on the New Canaan side. Not many on the North Haven side. I think they had 2 votes in the final tally. New Canaan had 3. Staples had 21. So, you could say all you want about the voters, and we've said plenty. And I think they really miss the mark sometimes. I mean, a lot of these votes here, you can tell clearly that the state champions got a lot of love. When, come on, guys, there are 6 champions. They can't be treated equally. You can't put some of these teams up there on a pedestal saying they're a top 10 team when they lost 4 games in the regular season. Can't do it. But hey, you want to throw them a vote at the end, go for it. But I don't. That's not something I follow.
I didn't vote.
The top 10 is for the best teams.
Respectfully, I did not vote for Joel Barlow or Bloomfield in my final poll.
Yeah.
And Hand, I think I voted Hand at 14.
Yeah, I had Hand way down there.
Yeah, I had him.
I had Naugatuck at number 15.
I had Fairfield Prep at 15.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for that one, but let's take a look. We'll show our polls in a little bit, but let's take a rundown of the top 10 poll here. Starting, actually, we'll go for the bottom up. You already know Staples, you already know North Haven, but number 10 is Bloomfield. They do get in 11-1, won the Class S championship finally, 42-20 over Cromwell Portland. Number 9 is Wilton, which lost the Class MM final to North Haven, 21-0. Great run by them, by EJ D'Annunzio's guys to get there. Number 8 is Hand. They finished 12-1.
Nope.
Hand was not ranked all year, but they win 12 straight games to win the Class M championship, 57-20 over Rockville. Number 7 is Darien, which had a spirited run to the final to play their rivals New Canaan. They lose in that game despite having a fourth quarter lead, but they lose that game 28-21. Number 6 was Greenwich, the preseason number 1, which just kind of stumbled at the finish line and finishes 10-2 and loses to West Haven in the Class LL semifinals, 26-13. Number 5 is Maloney, which is kind of weird for me because Maloney lost to Greenwich on a field goal, granted, but they both lost in the semifinals. I don't know how you put Maloney ahead of Greenwich, but hey, that is that. They finished 10-2 and lost to New Canaan, 11-8 in the Class L semifinals. Number 4 is West Haven, which lost the Classic 21-20 to Staples. We'll get to that in a second. To finish 10-3 and number 4 overall. Number 3 is North Haven with 2 first-place votes, 11-2, Class MM champions. They repeat. New Canaan also repeats, 12-1, defeating Darien 28-21 in the Class L championship. They are number 2. And, of course, Staples, the number 1 team, 12-1. That one loss was week 1 to West Haven, 33-23, if I'm not mistaken. And they won 12 consecutive games, including avenging that loss to West Haven in the final game to become the first team in Staples history, second team in Staples history to finish number 1, the first in 48 years. Yikes! So there you go. That is congratulations to Adam Behrends and the Wreckers. As we said, we will have Adam on the show as we usually do. We haven't had him on yet, which is great. So we will have him on for the first time to talk about this season and how they kind of last year, if you recall, they lost to Fairfield Prep in a nail biter, and how they used that to catapult themselves into this position. Caleb Smith and the guys doing a great job. So, all right, if you want to know how Pete and I voted, here is how we did it. Pete, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start at the top. For mine, I voted Staples 1. I voted New Canaan 2. North Haven 3. I went with West Haven at 4. Greenwich 5. Maloney at 6. Wilton 7. Darien 8. Windsor 9. Shelton at 10. Shelton's beat 2 state champions this year. Massac at 11, best defense in the state. Cheshire at 12, Newtown at 13, Hand at 14, and Fairfield Prep at 15.
Fair enough. Pete, I went with Staples number 1, New Canaan number 2, North Haven number 3, West Haven number 4, Greenwich number 5, Maloney number 6. Greenwich beat Maloney. I put Windsor at number 7. That getting there, they only lost to New Canaan until they lost to North Haven. So I liked how they played this year. Number 8, Wilton. Number 9, Darien, with a spirited run, playing very well late in the year. Number 10, Massac. Number 11, Cheshire. Massac beat Cheshire. Number 12, Newtown. Massac also beat Newtown. Number 13, Shelton. Newtown beat Shelton. I know Shelton did win 2 state champions, but hey, 1 point, what are you going to do? And then Hand I threw in there, and then Naugatuck I threw in there at number 15. So that's my top 10. I mean, not much different. I mean,
no, we have all the same teams, but the last team.
But the last one, yeah. So
and our groupings our top 6 are the same. Our 7 through 9 are the same 3 teams, just reshuffled. Our 10 through 14 are the same teams, just a different shuffle. Look at us.
Yeah,
I think we talk way too much. We're like on the same
we talk to
page.
each other, yeah, way too much.
Way too much.
For completion's sake, here is the coaches' top, the Hartford Current Coaches Top 10 poll brought to you by the Hartford Current, which is run by Ned Griffin, who was nice to see that Ned was able to go see the championship games at Central Connecticut State this weekend. Here it is. Number 1 is Staples with 9 first-place votes. New Canaan with 2 first-place votes. Number 3 is North Haven with 2 first-place votes. Very similar to the writers poll. Number 4 is West Haven. Number 5, Maloney. Number 6, Greenwich. That one, too, is weird. I don't understand that, Pete. Number 7, Wilton, Windsor, Darien, and Han coming in at number 10. Naugatuck and Cheshire dropped out of theirs. Bloomfield will be the 11. Massac 12, Newtown 13, and Shelton 14, and Cheshire 15. So there, the rest of it. There's the Hartford Current coaches poll. Again, those aren't too similar. And look, they also voted Staples number 1, the coaches. So I don't know why everyone's coming after us.
Well, that's all another thing. Let's just put this out there quickly. There are 26 people that vote in the Game Time CT poll, not just us. So
right.
I feel like a lot of people think it's just our poll. No, we run the poll, and 26 members of the media from across the state of Connecticut vote in the poll.
Right. It's a good cross-section. It samples from a lot of places around here. And, the opinions are wild. People vote differently, very differently. People look at us like we're nuts for not voting state champions in our top 10. I think they're nuts, stuff like that. So let's take a look at these state champions. We did a complete highlight videos of them, but we're going to kind of dive into each of the finalists. We're going to start off at the top at Double L because, Pete, that is where we got our number 1 team from. And the game that was probably the best of the bunch, if you want to take into account everything that was at stake. Now, Barlow and Watertown certainly played a very similar game, so similar. The final score was the same, and it was won in the same way. It was on a stop 2-point conversion with virtually no time left for the other team. So that was that 21-20. Pete, you were there for a while there. It looked like Armani Reed was going to carry the West to a title.
Yeah, he was lights out. I mean, you listen to the show, he's one of our favorite players, and he had himself a heck of a night. He just came up 3 feet short. And, they put the ball in their best player's hands, a play that they had run earlier in the game that resulted in a touchdown, a similar play. But Max Marullo made an amazing tackle on the 2-point try with 1:15 left to kind of seal it. But I mean, just not to jump all the way back to the beginning and kind of do play-by-play here, but West Haven came out firing. I mean, they looked really good. Conlon looked great. Kemp was running the ball hard. Reed was making plays. Edie big catches, big plays. Like they were moving, and Staples couldn't really get anything going on offense. But then, they go into halftime down, was it 14-7? And then it became the Caleb Smith show. This is what got them here. Caleb Smith got Staples here. They went to him. Scores 2 more touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They get the 2-point try to go up 21-14, setting up the final, craziness at the end of that game. Just an all-time performance, a classic by both teams. This is a Staples team that hasn't won a state title since 2005. Hadn't been number 1 since 1975. Lost the game early to West Haven. Lost in the first round by 1 point to Fairfield Prep last year. They weren't going to be denied. And then on the other side, you had West Haven. Tragic death of a teammate earlier in the week. West Haven hadn't won a title since 2002. Everything that has transpired the last couple of years with Coach Rich Boucher. I mean, there was just so much at stake at this game, and it was just an all-time classic. And I don't think either team at the end was going to hang their heads. It was just an all-time classic. I mean, you felt the energy on both sides. I think I told you on the phone, you felt the nervous energy towards the end of the game because, they're going for 2, and the Staples fans are all tense, and the West Haven fans are excited, and you could just feel it. You just felt it. It was truly remarkable. Just an all-time classic.
Caleb Smith ran 18 times for 96 yards and 3 touchdowns, as you mentioned, Pete, in a virtuoso performance that propelled Staples to its first state title since 2005. West Haven was right there. Jay Conlon, 20 of 27, 202 yards. 2 touchdowns and ran for 1. Armani Reed, 8 catches for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Cam Kemp, who actually got carted off the field on the kickoff late in the game. It sounds like he's going to be okay, but what a scary moment there that kind of delayed the final and kind of tempered the celebrations, I guess, afterward. But he ran for 28 times for 136 yards, just an all-time great performance. 2 teams going at it, duking it out to be number 1, and that is basically what you want in a championship game. Just an amazing overall. I wish I could have been there. I tried desperately to get there, but my game took forever to get out of Rentschler Field. The Bloomfield game was almost 3 hours long. It was insanity. And speaking of those games, let's run it down in Class S. Bloomfield defeated Cromwell Portland 42-20 in their final game. The Kerr twins, Davion and Davian, accounted for over 300 all-purpose yards and 5 of the 6 touchdowns. In fact, they directly influenced the last touchdown as well. Going all out as champions, as Bloomfield snapped a 3-season losing streak in the state finals with their first title since 2018 and 10th overall, the 3rd for Coach Ty Outlaw. Darian Foster threw for 2 TDs, and Bloomfield scored 22 unanswered points to win the game after Cromwell Portland had tied it up at 20-20 to start the 3rd quarter. Jaden Johnson had 2 big interceptions in the first half, one to set up a touchdown, and the other would have set up a touchdown had Bloomfield not fumbled the ball away into the end zone. And Cromwell Portland recovered, which set up their tying score late in the first half. Randall Bennett rolling the dice, 4th and 5 from deep in their own end with a 50-yard strike. Jeff Elfreich to Jack Nolan, and then he followed that with a 25-yard TD pass back to Nolan, while with a guy in his face knocking him down, in fact knocking him out of the game. Looks like he might have hit his head on the turf on that play. Cromwell Portland didn't like that. Bloomfield's Davian Kerr returned the ensuing kickoff all the way into Cromwell Portland territory, and a pass to Davion Kerr got Bloomfield down to the 3 and allowed Foster to spike the ball with 1 second remaining on the clock. Refs had them put the 1 second back, which drew Randall Bennett's ire. He thought they weren't allowed to clock the ball with 2 seconds left. I don't know if that's a rule. He seemed to think it was. But then they called pass interference at the goal line, where the defender was standing at the goal line, allowing Davian Kerr to score on a short run on an untimed down. But did he cross the goal line before fumbling it? The side judge was all the way over down there, but he had a good angle on it. It's hard to really tell from this angle. Either way, Cromwell was very upset with the numerous calls that went against it. Nevertheless, they did come right back down the field with O.C. Yearwood scoring to tie it at 20, but in the second half, it was all Bloomfield. They were just not going to be denied. At Central Connecticut State's Arute Field, Class M, North Haven's defense smothered Wilton and earned the school's 2nd consecutive title with a 21-0 shutout to repeat. As Class M champions, Brian Moran covered one of 2 Wilton fumbles and ran it in for a touchdown. Jake McCreven knocked away a potential TD at the end of the first half. And Cameron Thompson also had an interception to set up North Haven's touchdown in the second half. North Haven held Wilton to just 87 yards of offense in the first half and 184 for the game. The Nighthawks weren't much better, but got the points and moved the sticks when it counted. Adam Pandolfi in his final game ran for a 23-yard touchdown for all the points North Haven needed, and Joey Mastriani threw a TD pass to Ryan Bernardo. And what had been a trying year for North Haven, they forfeited their first game to Darien. They lost their coach to a suspension. There's still an investigation by DCF, I guess, hovering over the program. But for now, they can celebrate a 2nd consecutive title, and just an all-time great team. Not number 1, nobody other than a few guys voting number 1, but still a very, very good season for the Nighthawks. Also at CCSU in Class M, Aiden Dolan ran 30 times for 264 yards and 4 touchdowns, become Hand's all-time leading rusher, finishing with 2,019 yards for his career, as the Tigers fulfilled their manifest destiny and won the Class M championship over Rockville 57-20. He also threw for a touchdown pass to Owen Prescar late in the game, and Eric Becker does the job he was brought in to do, winning a state title at Hand and adding another banner that flies above the Surf Club stands. And yeah, This title was kind of a gimme. But then again, so was Dave Mascherini's first one in 2017. At least as far as getting there through SEC Tier 2. They ripped through it just like this team did and got to the final, and they won there. So, but as much as this was no surprise, I was absolutely thoroughly enjoyed Aiden Dolan's comments after the game, just appreciating the moment of winning a state championship, doing what all kids dream of, winning a state championship with his boys on the field.
To win a championship at Daniel Hand, it etches you in some sort of Hall of Fame. People remember you. You are looked up to for years and years and years and years to come. There was tons of middle schoolers coming up today, and they were like, you know, you're a beast. It's just, that's the feeling you want to earn your whole life. It was.
In Class L over at disappointingly sparsely attended Rentschler Field, Darien, which suddenly found its groove in the playoffs, was in a dogfight with arch rival New Canaan. Remember, it was no contest in the Turkey Bowl. Charlie Tom scored a pair of touchdown runs, including this short run to start the fourth quarter to put the Blue Wave up 21-14. And for a little while there, Pete, it looked as if Darien might pull this off. New Canaan went for it on 4th and long at the Darien 29, and the faint punt got batted away by Will Bremer. But New Canaan's defense held as they've done all year, and they marched right back down the field. Luke Reed picked up a huge first down on 4th and short on a pass from Luke Robinson, and then just another play later, Robinson hits Will Langford with this gorgeous rollout play. Blocking was great at the point of attack. 12 yards touchdown, and he goes flying into the end zone, out the back of the end zone, over to his fans, and goes nuts with his fellow students. Tucker Stevens ties it with the kick. Darien gets the ball back, but on 3rd and long, New Canaan's Ryan Bernard swoops in to make this great play on the strip sack and the recovery to set up the Alex Benevento touchdown from in close, and New Canaan repeats as the Class L champions, giving Coach Lou Marinelli the ride just like last year.
All I know is I have not scored a touchdown. I haven't blocked anybody. I haven't tackled anybody. We have, our town is very much behind our kids, and we have a very special situation in New Canaan. I'm just proud to be their coach.
An amazing job by the Rams to win that game, and an amazing job by Alex Benevento. He was on the sidelines, not in the game last year with a broken arm, and he was able to win that state championship. In fact, score the winning points in that state championship. What a great career for him.
From being on the sidelines last year to now scoring the go-ahead TD, just put that in the words.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so special. I couldn't have dreamed it any better than what happened. After losing my season last year, just being able to come out with this group again, just come out on top like we were able to. I mean, it's so special.
Similarly, New Canaan's Charlie O'Connor, who, just like Benevento the year before, was lost for the season with a leg injury in the first game of the year, he was allowed to dress and join the team for the final kneel down, which was a real nice moment that we all kind of missed. So New Canaan wins its 14th state title overall, and what a great performance. And in the nightcap at Rentschler Field, Class SS, Barlow, the defending champions, and Watertown in a pretty competitive state championship game. Both teams were a combined 11-9 in the regular season, but you wouldn't have known it by watching this game. How good? Well, it was basically a fair forgery of the Class XL final, and it had the exact same finish. As mentioned, Jack Gilbert, taking over the Danny Shaven role, ran for a pair of touchdowns, and Luke Bishop scored on a 17-yard touchdown run. But Watertown's Aiden Arline ran for a pair of scores, including this great 60-yard touchdown run, and Brady Gamby added another touchdown run to keep this one close. Just a few minutes after Watertown missed a touchdown on this great play, wide open in the end zone, they just couldn't connect. They did eventually score on the drive, though, with Arline's short TD run with 1:38 remaining. What would they do? Well, when you're a 5-5 team playing the state championship that wasn't really supposed to be here, and everyone thinks you weren't supposed to be here, you go for it, and you go for the state championship. But Barlow is right there. They stuff the two-point conversion run and get out of there 21-20. A great game, and they left it all on the field to win their second consecutive title and second consecutive title for TJ Cavalier. What a job he's done at Barlow. And what can I tell you? I do know that Watertown's kids love the call by their coach, John Stanko. They just couldn't get there. And props to him, though. He will have a team to watch, especially with quarterback Brady Gamby returning. Gamby impressed a lot of people with his performance at that game on Saturday night. Don't take my word for it. Listen to Barlow's Cole Peterson.
Back to back. I feel great. That was a good team. I don't care what anyone says. They were a good opponent. Like, that QB was a hard guy to stop, I'll tell you that. That hurt a lot. Yeah. But the coach has got a great game plan.
He's the best linebacker in the state. Cole Peterson.
Oh, my God. What great game all around.
So there you go, Pete. Your overall just impressions of the weekend.
I was great. I had Central was hopping. I really, really liked the games at Central. Every crowd was really good. Wilton had a great crowd to start the day. Obviously, North Haven did too. It was loud on the North Haven side. Hand packed well. Rockville traveled really well. Unfortunately, James the Ram was not allowed to be in attendance at Central. No. It was very sad. I heard about it a couple of days before. Central said no can do, which I guess it's a little different than veterans. But then the last game, West Haven Staples was just crowded. I mean, the whole, there was not a seat on either side. It was just a great venue, great atmosphere, great day. I mean, it wasn't too cold. It didn't rain, thank God. But it was just it was a great day. I love covering the championships at Central. The last 2 years have been great.
Yeah. We'll have to switch it up maybe next year. But
maybe.
Rentschler was fine. I was, Bloomfield and Cromwell Portland was, not a ton of people are going to usually go to the S game unless it's from a small, really close-knit community town. And so that was interesting. That first start. The Darien New Canaan game, we talked about it a ton leading into it. Everybody down there wants the game to be played in their backyard, and they clearly did not show up to. I was looking at the crowd as Bloomfield left. They had about as many people, Darien and New Canaan, as Bloomfield and Cromwell Portland. I think Cromwell Portland actually probably outdid both of them. With their crowd, the students did show up, and I appreciated that. I liked the Darien students going into their end zone to cheer them on in the fourth quarter as they were driving for the go-ahead score. Right as the fourth quarter started, they all ran to the end zone. And then the New Canaan students did the exact same thing, following their team down the field as there was plenty of room. They were following their team down the field and got into the end zone just as Will Langford caught that touchdown pass to tie the game, and he jumped up like it was the dog pound, and it was great. I thought that was good, but overall, I was very disappointed in Darien New Canaan, and people still complaining to us on social media that should be closer, all this stuff, And as I've said 100 times, you know what? If we're just doing high school venues, we're playing at Cheshire or playing at West Haven, maybe not even West Haven, but if we're playing at Trumbull, if that's where the games are going to go, fine, put it at Boyle Stadium. But when it's a preset championship venue, college venue, a lot of hoops that we got to go through, you got a lot of deals struck just so the kids can play in a championship venue, shut up. Shut up. Enough's enough. Get in your car and drive. It is an hour and change on a Saturday. They put it in the afternoon so you didn't have to wake up too early, and you wouldn't have to drive home too late. So they bent over backwards for you guys, and you still didn't show up. You know what? I don't want to hear it. Maybe you're just too spoiled. As you said, Staples showed up in droves.
So did Wilton.
And Wilton showed up because they hadn't been in the championship so long. So it clearly can happen, but they're just Buchanan and Darien winning titles all over the field. They every other year. Maybe it's just spoiled. They're spoiled, and they don't want to see it. Unless
they didn't look. It's a shame. One, it's a shame that people complained, because we've complained about those venues and having them at these types of venues, and the CIAC got it done, right? And now we're complaining again more. But it's disappointing that the New Canaan and Darien communities did not go and support their football teams. Look, if you don't want to support them, that's fine. But this is not because the game wasn't at Boyle. The communities did not go out and support those football teams and those kids and those athletes, and that's sad. So shame on those communities for not showing out because they didn't want to drive a little extra. We drive everywhere. I drive
by actually caving in these other instances. Okay, we'll play there because we're playing at Trumbull. We'll just move it. right? And actually, like, we've spoiled them. So maybe it's our fault. I mean, I'm not our.
I would say if they wanted to move it to Boyle, I'd say let's not cover it because we're not going to be able to be in 3 spots.
Yeah.
So
it's just ridiculous. They show up.
It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
Yeah. I mean, hats off to the people who did go.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of the parents, what are they going to do? So. But, clearly that doesn't become a community event unless it's in your backyard.
Look, it's crazy that, especially that there's a former New Canaan, player who's on the coaching staff at UConn.
Yeah.
Who they're playing these games there for a lot of different reasons. And one of those reasons is support of the UConn football program of high school football in Connecticut. And the alums, the community can't even go for the program that is being, has a coach on the staff who went there. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's too bad. But otherwise, it was great. I thought it was handled pretty well. The only real glitch we had was Cromwell Portland getting there late for the they did the anthem without him, and they got there late. And then afterwards, Bloomfield, was just so delirious that the trophy ceremony had to be curtailed because they were just too busy taking photos and everything. So, what are you going to do there? But otherwise, I think it went off without a hitch. I mean, I would have said maybe put the West Haven game or West Haven Staples game at Rentschler, but whatever. I mean, you said it was great. The fans are right on top of you at Root Field. I mean, you can't quibble with any of the venues really. So it was a good job by them. I thought this is working out as far as the venues go for sure. So Pete, that was all the state finalists and all our state champions. If you want to watch all that, we have extended highlights and all that good stuff. But now let's get to our newly crowned #1 coach of the Staples Wreckers, Adam Behrends. Joining us on the show is, of course, the #1 ranked Class L Championship head coach. It's Adam Behrends. Adam, congratulations. Oh, my God, what a game. What a season. You guys avenged the first loss, run the table, and now you're state champions. It's been a couple days since. Has it sunk in yet what you guys accomplished this year?
First of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Appreciate all the coverage you guys get. That's awesome. I think it's really rare what you guys do here in the state. But now, candidly, I don't know if it's really sunk in just yet. Still trying to find the words for it. But, man, amazing game. Shout out to West Haven. That's a heck of a football team. They got studs everywhere. Really well coached. Yeah, heck of an experience for the kids and everybody involved.
Take me through week. It was kind of like a strange run up because obviously they had the player that died and, and you had played them before. Now you got to deal with probably a little extra motivation. You got to worry about that, but you also probably got to worry about, you've seen them before. They know what you've got. You know what they've got. How is the preparation for this? And what did you learn the first time that you kind of maybe were able to bring over here to enable your guys to be in the best position to be a champion?
We definitely went back and looked at the first game against them. Obviously, they had a lot of success against us week 1. So we wanted to make sure that we had tightened up the things that we had talked about and kind of do a, eval on where they got us. How much have we improved there, which I thought was quite a bit in those areas. Just, a lot of guys now having a lot more experience, not being shell-shocked out there. Week 1 going against a West Haven. A top 10 team, but yeah, just checking the boxes there, and then just kind of looking at the last couple games that they had played. Obviously, beat a great team in Greenwich to get to the state championship. So, lastly, just making sure we had a plan in place to try to limit the touches for certain kids and limit the big plays.
It seemed like they got a lot of big plays though. Anyway, right?
Yeah, it's you just got to slow the damage with them. You're not going to hold them to 0 yards rushing, 0 yards passing, hit them with a running clock. Like, that's not going to happen. They're going to find their chances to do that. And shout out to all the coaches and the culture piece and the talking with the kids and, being really frank with the kids going into this game, letting them know they are going to have big plays. They will probably score at some point. We will have things go against us. We need to be prepared for the next play and not worried about, a big gain they might have had or whatever it may be.
You guys talked a lot about finding that extra point, right? Finding that 1 point. That was a big thing that you guys talked about going back from last year. And then
which is a great motto, by the way.
Happened. Yeah.
great. That's tremendous. Go ahead.
And then just to see it happen in the quarterfinals against Fairfield Prep, and then in the state championship, 3 feet to find that point. I mean, look, teams and coaches come up with sayings all the time and things to rally around, and it works. But I mean, could you have picked a more spot-on one?
Man, I don't think so. Like you were saying, to lose the game against Prep by 1 point, to then beat them by 1 point, and ultimately win the big one at the end by 1 point. We had told our kids leading up to it, like, you got to show up and you got to play the game. But man, this stuff's really lining up for the Wreckers here. If we're being candid about it, and the way it was, just seemed like it was lining up to be almost like a movie and a storybook ending. Like, with these kids and what they've been through and just the season we had and the culture and that mantra of finding the 1 point, I think the most fitting way for this game to end was Max making that tackle the way he did, rather than, win by a couple touchdowns or, not have it be the game it was. I think that really sums up who these kids are and the culture that we have.
Yeah, but you would have liked to win by 2 scores, right? It would have just been a little easier.
It would definitely add some years back onto my life, but you take them how you can get them.
You knew, though, they were going right to Armani Reed, right? I mean, he scored that nice touchdown run on that pass, same play, right? I mean, do you have an idea they would probably run the same play or something similar? Obviously, get the ball to him, right?
I'll be honest, I kind of let the defensive coaches handle that stuff, and I try not to micromanage and come out of throughout the week. They meet, they get it together, they have a great game plan. I don't really want to be somebody that, okay, now it's a huge moment, now this is coming, and now let's do this. I trust those guys. They've shown that they're some of the best guys at what they do. So you just let them do their thing. They had an awesome plan for it, where they had Max to take away the slant, and then a hell of an effort play to just outrun him and get him there before he was able to cross. But there's a reason there were 2 guys over there. I would think that they're going to go to their best player in that situation. And, you got a quarterback, too, with a live arm that can rip it out there. I mean, gives you a good shot.
Did you guys know that they were probably going to go for 2? I mean, I don't think, it would have been a weird game with extra points. Did you think, are you planning hey, if they score here, they're going to go for 2. We need to be ready for the next play.
Yeah. I thought they might go for 2. You only have so many emotions and so much energy. So now you're thinking of overtime, and I think it's a smart move on their part. Just, hey, let's end this right now. Candidly, as I went down there, Ryan Connors, one of our defensive coaches, looked at me and he said, we might want to start thinking about timeouts here. And in my head, I was kind of already thinking, okay, there's a good chance we're going to have to go down and score really quick. We've done this before. This is what we do. We have experience in it. And the coach said, we might want to think about calling timeouts here. And I go, yeah, man, if you need them, use them. Keep them out of the end zone. He goes, no. Just in general, we might want to think about using timeouts here to stop the clock because it's running. And I was like, oh, shoot. And he's like, well, hold on. Let's see how this play goes. So then after that, we took the timeouts to preserve what we could in case we did have to go back out on offense. So, shout out those guys for the situational football awareness and keying me into that. Honestly, I was, again, thinking about a different phase of the game, getting ready. And if it wasn't for those guys, if we did have to go back on offense, we probably would have only had 30-some seconds with 2 timeouts, which doesn't really help you a heck of a whole lot when you got to go 80 yards.
Yeah, Coach, this team being at game 1 against West Haven and then obviously being there in the championship, I remember week 1, you had a play drawn up that you saw. And I remember you turned around. I was just standing there. You were not talking to me, but I could hear you. And you said, watch this. And I forgot what receiver it was. He was wide open. Caleb just missed him by inches. And you were sprinting down the sideline. You saw it. It happened. It didn't get completed. Fast forward 15 weeks later. Similar kind of play with Petrosino on 3rd down. Down, on the drive where you guys took the lead. You see a similar play like that. You called it. Petrosino makes it. Would you say that that's just kind of encompassing of this entire season of looking at what happened week 1, that pass was not able to be complete, and then in the biggest moment on your biggest drive in the state championship, that play is completed and it changes the whole game?
Yeah, that was huge. And it actually was the exact same play, this time just running to his left and not his right, which, for Caleb, kudos to him. That's a way harder throw running to your left than it is to your right. But they had made a substitution. I think Armani had went out. I think he got dinged up. That's one of our bread and butter plays that we run all the time, the offensive coordinator. So I think it'd be a great time to run it. Called it, hit it. The rest is history. But yeah, no. You bringing that to attention, that is a pretty cool way to think of it, just given that it being that exact same play. And you're talking about finding the point. We were just a couple inches off on that one to then you connect on the same thing against the same team later down the road. Like it's,
Yeah.
again, really special group and a lot of special moments where like the stuff just kind of added up in a great way for these guys.
How about Caleb? I mean, how many times are you going to talk about him? He's clearly
tell us how great he is more.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, just they obviously teams keyed on him all season. He got beat up. I was at the Wilton game where they were really pounding him there, and and your players really all kind of rallied around him and got kind of protective of him like he was their little brother almost, but just because you got to protect that guy like that, right? But
yeah, in that Wilton game, watching those kids, our O-line, the way they were pulling kids off the pile, and they were told to quit doing it, and they wouldn't stop doing it. That was a real like proud coach moment watching that game, and like seeing a bunch of dudes and their boy, and like getting guys off them. That was neat.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember you getting really upset on that game. But tell me about yourself. We talked a little bit about it. I'll admit, you're from Iowa. You go to IMG Academy, which is, kind of like a big football mecca, right? A lot of guys go there some New Haven kids have gone down there recently.
Tyler Booker.
Yeah, Tyler Booker being
Tyler Booker, stud.
Yeah.
I got to catch him on my way out. Awesome kid.
But, and you told me a little bit about it. I didn't really get to say much about it, but, you were kind of a quarterback coach on the kind of the off season, and you were doing something for somebody in Westport. I remember hearing the story as you came up, and I remember thinking like they're going to bring in an outsider because it was like the 1 year of the previous guy because Mars had left, and kind of coming cold. And what was that like to be a complete outsider coming in, being dropped into this it's a unique place, Fairfield County and Westport, and there's a lot going on for it. It's just kind of it's a different place than most you would think. And you kind of just dropped in. Like, what were your first impressions of it? And, did you think that overall you were going to be able to fit in here? Because there was also a lot of ghosts that were probably still lingering around that room that you are sitting in right now.
Right. I was the support and how welcoming everybody was. I was really taken aback by that. It made it very easy to be here off the bat and very comfortable off the bat. Obviously, we didn't have a great season, so we had to get back to the drawing board, and then COVID running on right behind that kind of made it hard to get to know some people here. But now the more I'm here, I mean, yeah, I run into people all the time. And, oh man, you coach at Westport? Like, what are those families like? I'm like, honestly, they're awesome. They're really supportive. They really care about football. They care about their kids. I've chosen to coach football as a profession. What more could you ask for than to be around a community and a bunch of people that love it and want to give you resources and help you out in any way that you can? So I like to think I fit in pretty well at this point, and I really like being here with them.
How about that first season? Did you feel like, oh man, I have made a big mistake? Because I remember thinking, everyone like going, what is going on over at Staples, man? 2-8, that was not, that's a rare thing. That's something don't see much. But tell me, how did you? I mean, take me at the end of that season. What did you, say to yourself? And you're like, look, I can't leave now. Or not leave now. You know what I'm saying? But just take me through that season, what that meant, and and how much you want to get this thing turned around quick.
Yeah, now I know one of the last things I thought before I made the decision to come up was what's the worst case scenario? And if that happened, would I still go? And in my head, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? You go 5-5, maybe we're 6-5, 7-3, barely miss the playoffs, we'll circle the wagons, get it going. And then obviously it was a little bit less than optimal in regards to being 5-5. So yeah, you definitely question yourself, wondering if I should have left Florida, wondering if I have any business even coaching football. That was a big thought of it, and something that I had to really put a lot of time in to think and get past because, I would look back and I would think, did I just get really lucky at IMG? I've got Jay Patterson falling into my lap every year, Kellen Mond, Grant Delpit. Like, it's kind of hard to screw those guys up. So that was a transition that I definitely had to go through. And then spent a lot of time with one of the assistant coaches, Ron Clark, and kind of trying to map things out. And he did a really good job of saying, like, by this date, we need to have like more coaches hired. Like, that's something we need to address. By this date, we need to know what scrimmages we're going to do. And he did a really good job keeping me on that timeline. And got a lot of really loyal coaches that are still here that all just knew what Staples football is, what it could be, and they didn't really let the 2-8 really deter them. It was just more, okay, we all know this sucks. We have enough problem identifiers here. Like, what are the solutions now?
What
Do you
really
think that season? Do you think that season, having that season, helped you guys get to here? Right, to building from that. Obviously, the COVID year thrown in as well, but having that 2-8 season, are you guys in this position right now as the number one team in the state without that season?
I mean, I think it'd be tough to say no. Not telling you guys anything you don't know, but I mean, you're going to grow the most through crappy situations. Not like, honestly, from X's and O's and football standpoint, like, did I learn a ton at IMG? Yes, I'm really blessed and fortunate for that. But like, did we really have to put a lot of time and thought into our offensive game plan with our running back that's going to Alabama? Not really. So coming up here and kind of having that failure that we had, just gives you an awesome opportunity to grow, see like the things that you need to get better at. A lot of blind spots, which I have a million of them still and had a million of them. I think it was necessary for us to realize where we needed to grow as coaches and then as a program and what different adjustments needed to be made. But a big one was just, for me personally, look at myself, just thinking you need to get a heck of a lot better at this.
Well, you guys, after COVID, you came right back. I mean, I was at that. Remember that Greenwich game? You lost barely. You were right in the cusp of things, and then obviously you were like next year you beat them, and then you just lost barely in the playoffs. I mean, you can kind of see the team. I mean, obviously having like Clark and those guys coming to Hillhouse, all those guys last year was great, and kind of set the table for this group here. But it seemed like a lot of those kids were coming up, and they were ready to make their mark. I mean, I guess the youth program's pretty good there still. So that had I'm sure had a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, actually, some guys that aren't here any longer, they actually relocated to Florida. But Paul Caniglio and John Zames did a really good job before they left with the time that they had in the youth program. And so now we're seeing a lot of that work come to fruition with these kids that were eighth graders when I got in here and who would have played for Paul and John. It's definitely been really helpful being able to have kids for multiple years and like that development. And that was one of the most enticing things about coming up here was the youth program. I used to be a big NCAA guy back in the day. Shout out EA Sports for bringing it back. I'm probably going to get back into video games now.
I love it.
I've also never lost with the 2002 Miami Hurricanes, if anybody wants to run it. I was always really intrigued by like the recruiting in that game and building it. And so when this was an opportunity, but it's also like, oh, you're telling me that we can develop all the kids that are going to be our firepower down the line. Like, what a great opportunity, especially at a place like this, like I said, where everybody cares so much and loves their sports here.
A lot of talk, and rightfully so, went about Caleb, and he had a masterful season. Not a completely different shift in the way that he played, but you go from having Tyler Clark and James Hillhouse to doing what he had to do this year. But you just talked a little bit about guys like Sam Petrosino and Max Marullo. You had two cornerbacks who had 12 interceptions this year, came up with huge plays. I mean, Sam's tackle against Prep. Max obviously the tackle in the championship game. But, having those two kids, obviously they played both ways, and Max did, the three ways with special teams as well. Just, how important were they to growing, to try and at least try and fill those shoes of guys like Tyler and James?
No, those kids are savages, and man, going back and watching the football games of the teams that we played this year that we also played last year, I had such and like, listen, James and Tyler were awesome, and my respect for their ability, not only as humans and what they did for our culture and our younger guys, but also just how good they were at football. Like at times during the year, it was like, man, I forgot how good those two were. Like those two are sick, and it's but they also, like, not to discredit the guy or anything, but like they just played receiver and they focused on receiver, to whereas like Sammy Petrosino, he's the number one safety in the state. Max is tied for number one. Like they're the co-best safeties in the state in my opinion. But they're playing both ways and they're doing different things. So good job by the coaches with the depth that they've built out, not only at DB but receiver. To kind of keep us rolling in those phases. But yeah, man, Sam and Max, for everything they've done just in regards to way beyond just winning football games, but the way kids in our program look up and like adore those kids, and the way the kids are in our youth are going to want to be the next Sammy Petrosino, be the next Max Murillo. And that's a really big thing in Westport. The multi-sports are really big here. They're really important. So there's a lot of kids they'll want to be Max Murillo because they saw Max Murillo not just do it as a DB, not just do it as a receiver, but they saw him out there literally being, like as great of an athlete as you can be in so many different phases of the game.
All right, so I'm going to bring this up now because it's funny because you guys won. So after the Greenwich game, when we were talking about Max, because he had the pick, he had the touchdown catch, and you were like, yeah, he hasn't missed an extra point all season. Then he missed one against Prep in the quarterfinal, and then he missed one in the championship. Again, it's only funny because you won. Do you feel like you jinxed him?
The last couple of weeks I had said so often how good we were because we had only missed I think we only missed 2 PATs last year as well. And personally for me, there's like a couple things in football that really like kill my soul. And when people miss extra points in high school, that's one of them. So, man, I hope that wasn't on me. But for those guys, 52 out of 50 for those guys in the NFL, I think the coach who sent me the stats today, I think we only missed 2 this year, and he hit them higher than like guys do at an NFL clip, which is unbelievable. And then obviously saves my soul and sanity because I'm not watching extra points we missed all the time.
Coach, tell me about this. You talked about before we started recording. You talked about all the alumni that showed up. A lot of this is a program with a lot of history, a lot of recent history. I mean, it had been just under 20 years, 18 years since you last won a state championship game I was at. I remember, but Mars did such a great job there. Winning all those titles there in the early 2000s, and a lot of you can see a lot. I mean, you said a lot of those guys came back, huh? Did a lot of you were having trouble keeping them off the field too, right?
Yeah, no, it sucked. You can't have all those kids on the sideline. A couple of them were, hey, they're up there. They're just wondering if they can come down. I was like, man, it's gonna be another like 80 alumni on the sideline. Like I'm already tripping over people over here. I was like, I'm sorry, and tell them it's not a my rule. It's just a literal like state rule. But yeah, it's so cool. Like the Greenwich game, the Thanksgiving Day games, and again, just the support and people that in March that he did an awesome job here. He went to 8 state championships, I want to say, in 25 seasons. Like that's absurd. That's not real. The guys that played for him, guys that have played for us since I've been here, all going up and coming to that game. It's really special. It's really unique, and it says a lot about this program and Staples and the whole community in Westport.
So is there a lot of pressure off now? Okay, all right. Now we got our first one. Okay, now what's next? Now what's the next step? Is this a long haul thing, or now we got to get the new generation coming in? I mean, obviously the great class going out. I mean, tell me about the guys that are coming back next year, and whether you guys are going to be able to maybe. I don't want to put too much pressure on it, but maybe keep this, maybe make this a regular thing, right? That's the goal.
Yeah, no, I mean that definitely was the goal. That is the goal. Definitely is nice to get the first one. I don't want to say out of the way, but just to have one. The last couple of weeks has reminded me, just going back to my high school days, and that nothing in your universe mattered until you graduated except the state championship, and all the decisions you made, all the workouts, everything you did was geared around that. And it's been cool to be reminded of that, watching our kids do that, and all the messages you're getting from like youth parents. And even before the game, before we got on the bus and drove up, there was a guy with one of his kids, he probably fifth, sixth grader. I know I recognized him, and just from yelling across the parking lot, like, "There's that coach, go get him!" Oh man, that's pretty cool. Like how much it means to them all. But yeah, we got the kids coming up, obviously in the youth, but you have Nathan Smith, Eddie Vandermeer was on the line for us this year, Davis Crandall, Cody Goldman coming back at linebackers, Anthony Armentano, our kicker's coming back, our punter, who I think is the number one punter in the state, and I don't even think it's close. 41%, I think, of his punts were in the 20, and probably 80% of those were probably in the 5. So good job, Josh Marcus. I know he'll love the shout out here. He also did attempt one throw this year, which was a completion. However, it was not a first down. So it remains to be seen if he'll throw any more footballs for us.
Can't be.
Yeah, he'll be back. And we have a lot of guys that might not have started games. Callum McLean is a kid that be a good linebacker for us. Was awesome on kickoffs. I know I'm totally forgetting people. Nick Weil had a really good year. Very similar year to Caleb, the year he had as a sophomore on JV. So I'm really proud of how Nick developed this year and the improvements he made. So it's always nice when you feel comfortable with, that guy, having a guy that you think has a lot of potential at that spot. But really sharp kid, loves football. Feel really good about the guys who are coming back. And again, the coaches just do an awesome job of making sure they're not just coaching the starters or the stud, because I've been in programs where, coaches are only talking to like their 5-star kid and don't even know the other kids' names. And our coaches coach every single kid on the team, top to bottom, as long as they're showing up and they show that they care. If you got a text from the number 89th kid on our roster and our coaches knew that it was a kid that is all in and cares and works hard, they'll spend an hour watching film with that kid and coaching him up and making sure he understands. And that's really paid dividends for us over the years.
Well, as long as remember the kids' names when we send our preseason prospectus, I think you can be forgiven right now. I mean, this has been a whirlwind week, whirlwind season for you guys. And, as long as we get those names ready and roll in August, that I'm sure that they'll appreciate it. But, long off season ahead of you, but try to enjoy it a little bit before you guys get back in the weight room. I'm sure they're already there. But try to enjoy it a little bit for Christmas, and then, we get back to work, obviously, because, it's never easy in the FCIAC, right, Coach? So good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks,
Coach. We appreciate you putting on a little bit. It's an awesome job. Again, just a win like that. I know it's nerve-wracking, but yeah, that
was a classic. That was an all-time classic for sure. And
that was
some all-time
biggest football game I've ever been a part of, and definitely the one that we wanted to take home the most. So thanks for all you guys doing, all the coverage. Like I said, it's been awesome. Every year now I'm to the point where I can't miss anything that you guys put out. I've kind of perused the first couple of years, and now that I've gotten into it, I know what days when it's coming out, when the voting's happening, and I'm sitting there at 12 o'clock on Mondays, just like the kids. Like, did they post yet? But you guys,
I'll tell you this: you get now that you've been on the show, there are 2 members of the Staples coaching staff who have been on the Meat Grinder.
Is that right?
Adam, can you guess who the other coach was?
Are they a current Staples coach?
They are a current Staples assistant coach. Was there on Saturday coaching with you?
I don't even know if I know the answer.
Oh, yes, you do know, huh?
Coach Matt?
Coach who?
Coach Philpott?
Nope. Former head coach.
Oh, Jamar.
Yep.
Oh, Jamar Green. Right. Okay.
Yep. Jamar Green came on the show in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Or when they beat Staples.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
It was 2019.
Oh, sorry.
Coach. That was year one, game one. You really had to bring that up to end this, huh?
Sorry, I thought it was 2018. I thought it was 2018. I swear.
No, but yeah, that was year one, game one.
That's what he was like. You know what? I got to have Jamar Green on my staff one of these days. If you can't beat him, join him, right?
He does an awesome job. He's another one up at this with his experience, having been a head coach, just with that whole logistics side of it, and then just the clock management in the game. He was a awesome addition to the staff.
He is all time.
Well, Coach, enjoy the holidays, and thanks for joining us. And now you're part of the Meat Grinder crew here. So we'll
friend of the program.
Yeah, you're a friend of the program. We'll bring you back on soon. And
does that mean you'll vote for us now, Sean?
Yeah. You don't want me voting for you. I swear to God, you don't want me voting for you. Everyone's still killing me about the prep pick, man. I was close. But you
didn't find the point, Sean.
Yeah, they found the point.
You didn't find the point.
I love that. That's great. I was at the game last year, man, and that was a tough one to swallow. I could just feel it on the sidelines. And I remember, I just always feel like every time I show up to your game, Adam, you always lose. And until this year,
for a while.
Until this year, Wilton, I'm like, hey, I finally showed up a game you didn't lose. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. I thought you guys hated me. I'm like, shoot, here comes Sean.
No, I actually did ask Pete. I was like, did Sean have a problem with me? Like, was I rude to him at something on the sideline? And he started explaining to me how you go about your picks and all that. And he's like, no, man, he loves you. I was like, I don't feel like he does.
No, yeah, here's what it is. It's most of the time it's because of him. I always got to go against Pete, It's not a winning proposition, I've found.
No, we've been doing the picks since 2019. Sean and I have finished in the top 3 once each and have never won. We just pick picks to spite each other, to rile each other up.
I also pick picks because I know it's going to rile the players up.
Yeah.
I just like to turn the knife a bit. And what? So all right. Coach, again, just a tremendous job. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. And, go get them next year. We'll see what you guys bring. All right.
Yes, sir. Go Wreckers.
Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
So, Pete, that is our 6 state championship games. If you want extended highlights, feel free to watch the GameTimeCT YouTube channel or go to our website. The videos are all embedded on there. Everyone did a great job. Pete did all 3, especially at CCSU, man. I don't know how he does it. I was struggling with 2, but Pete did a great job. And, of course, Will Aldam chipping in on the Barlow one at the end. But nice job, Pete. You did great. You did good. You did really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a long day, but a real fun one. I was lucky. My games, the North Haven Wilton game was real quick. Then obviously the Rockville game was quick to start, really slowed down, really long third quarter. But thank God West Haven and Staples were like, yeah, we'll start the game like whenever their game's over. We don't want to go warm up on the other field. So that extended the time that I had to get everything done before the
mine was tough because I don't remember what time exactly that game ended, the Bloomfield game, but there was lots of penalties. There were lots of fumble, lots of change of possession, passing, of course, incomplete passes don't help. And there was I think it was a Cromwell Portland player got hurt toward the end of it, and then there was a lot of weird stuff going on in that game, but. I as far as they go, I mean, Cromwell Portland, I think this was supposed to be a rebuilding year from them. And, and I can see, and Randall Bennett was very frustrated after the game. We started to talk to him, and then he's like, you know what, give me 5 more minutes. And he walked out. He did not want to talk about the first half penalties and all that whole series at the end there. I don't think that lost them the game, though. They did tie it up at 20-all. But I just think Bloomfield was just they just weren't gonna stop them who they had. They weren't gonna stop those kids from being denied. They were a little sloppy, a little undisciplined, and certainly fumbled to put the ball on the turf a little bit too much. But Bloomfield certainly was the better team that day.
I mean, you look at it, Cromwell Portland's young, they'll be in the mix again. Watertown, I mean, Gamby is real good. This last couple of weeks was really his coming out party. Despite what Watertown people in our mentions say, like we were very pumped to watch them go on this run, and I think Gamby's going to have a great season next year for Watertown. Trying to think, Darien is going to be in the mix. I mean, with Kevin Roach and Charlie Tom and Ben Rollop, I mean, this is a preseason top 3, top 5 team. They're going to be really good. So there was a lot of teams that got a lot of experience on the field this past weekend, and guys' names that we're going to be calling again next year. We saw 2 defending champions this year for the first time since 2019.
3.
Three defending champions for the first time since 2019. And
All
St. Joe's
all
did
the
it.
teams that had a chance to defend their championships defended their championships. North Haven, New Canaan, and Parlow, which, hey, I think we both picked Barlow to win the state champ, or maybe you picked Sheehan at the beginning of the year. I don't remember. What was the?
I have everything.
Barlow though.
I have everything written down somewhere.
Yeah,
here it is.
I had Massick at an L. I mentioned double L.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you ready for the preseason predictions in Class S? You had Ansonia. I had Ansonia. Your dark horse was North Branford. Mine was Notre Dame Fairfield.
Okay.
In double S, we both picked Barlow as the preseason. I picked Sheehan as my dark horse. You picked Granby as your dark horse. In M, you pick Hand. I pick St. Joe's. In double M, you pick Massick. I pick Windsor. In L, you pick Shelton. I picked Maloney. Darien was both our dark horse.
Yeah. Yeah. They dark horse their way to the final. So.
And then in double L, we both picked Greenwich. And yeah. So not bad.
What are you going to do there? Staples obviously loses a lot. West Haven loses a ton. Obviously Marmani Reed, that's a big one, but they always have athletes there. North Haven loses a bunch of guys. So it'll be interesting to see what they bring back. New Canaan. Who else is it? Ansonia's kind of starting all over. It'll be very
Barlow's going to have guys. Barlow's going to have guys. Gilbert, Romano, not all of them were seniors. So Barlow's going to be back in the mix.
That could be Massick, making a run at it. I mean, obviously Champagne's younger brother is going to be pretty good. They're going to be back in the mix a little bit. Maybe they'll win the title. It depends on who their coach is going to be, though. That's going to be very weird. Wilton, I think EJ's got them pointed in the right direction. They will.
And they're young too.
Lots of improvement to be had there for sure. I think that I think they're going to be really a team to watch next year.
Greenwich.
Very anxious about to say that. See what Greenwich brings. Southington. We didn't even talk about this last week because it just happened right after we did the podcast. But Mike Drury has resigned as coach of Southington, so that job is wide open now. I don't know who they're going to bring in. Maybe I don't want to speak for him, but I know Alex Gemelli was on that squad. And he's young. Right, and so was Mike Drury when he took that job over. I'm not to speak for Alex. So Southington, that job is going to be open. We'll see who fills that, and then several other jobs. I know Amity is going to be open, but I don't know. It's going to be very fascinating to see what other jobs come open over the coming days. That there's going to be a bunch, but how about Rockville though? That was a really bitter pill to swallow. There, they got to play a Hand team that. By all accounts, really should be in Class M, but strictly speaking, it's just kind of a tough spot for a Rockville. And we talked a little bit about it off there a bit. That was a really good team, and I hate to see teams that they're really good at their level. They're a Pequot, kind of a small school team. Meanwhile, Hand is from SEC, typically SEC Tier 1. And I don't like to see those type of mismatches. But I don't, we were talking about it. I don't know what you do. Other than creating hockey-style divisions in football, which brings its own set of problems too. But they had a great season despite their loss to him.
Yeah, no, Rockville. Look, Amir Knighton's a junior.
Is that right?
He'll be back. Be back. A lot of those guys are young. Ramsdale, your boy, the D lineman, the big D lineman, he's a junior. They got a lot of guys back. Rockville's going to be in the mix. It was weird to see. This is not a knock at Daniel Hand at all. Eric Becker has done an amazing job there, but I said it to the guys at the CIAC at Central. I said Daniel Hand is an M school. They are that's what the rules tell us. But you don't think it's kind of weird that Hand is playing Rockville in the finals?
Yeah. Again, this is what happens in a 6th division setup. You just have weird divisions, and the weird divisions here were double S and M. M was part M and part low L's, and double S was M, like low M's and high S's. And it's like, it just doesn't, again, it just, you wouldn't have got, you probably would have been maybe Hand would have been in M if you really think about it. But then they probably would have had somebody in there, maybe up to their caliber. If
maybe Wilton's in there.
Maybe Wilton's in there. I don't know. I have to look at it. But that's what happens in a 6 division thing. A 6 division thing, you're going to have 2 divisions every year that you're just like, why? Why? It doesn't take away from these guys winning state championships. No doubt about that. But just overall, you look at it. So all that's left now, Pete, is to do the all-state teams. I know the coaches' all-state team might be out. Actually, it is getting released as we are recording this, at least the teams, they're getting to know it. So the Coaches Association, high school, the CHSCA Coaches Association will have that out this week. So look for that. We also do, there are also 2 other major ones, which is one, this is run by the Walter Camp Foundation. That will be, I believe, you said you talked to Al Carbone this weekend. When is that?
I think it's going to be before Christmas. I think that team will be released.
Usually that's before Christmas. And then usually ours, the New Haven, the 91st, we're getting there, man. The 91st New Haven Register all-state football team will go out New Year's-ish, right? Usually that's when we do it. We do it after Christmas. Because if we try to get it before Christmas Day with all the stuff we got to do for it, it's a little much. But we will be picking a player of the year and a coach of the year. Just not to pick anybody now, Pete, but who are some of the guys you think we should be looking at for player of the year and coach of the year? I mean, I think you kind of start with the 2 guys right now, Pete, who played in that Class Double final. Caleb Smith from Staples and Armani Reed from West Haven. Certainly 2 guys who are worthy of player of the year.
Yeah, I think last year it was between Shaban and Nider.
Yep.
I think we knew that even after the championship. Obviously, Law lost in the semifinals last year, but he was so important to that team that it really came down to those 2 mobile, athletic quarterbacks. This year, it's wide open. I mean, you mentioned Caleb Smith and Armani Reed, and 2 very deserving players. You go down to Class L, Alex Benevento. Obviously, we knew he's an all-state player from the beginning. But he really stepped up at big moments for New Canaan. They beat Maloney in the semifinals with another guy who's definitely in consideration. That's Dante Kelly from Maloney. He 20-plus touchdowns, did it all for the Spartans. Maybe just the most overall athletic player in the state. Rashard Williams, buku numbers from Southington. I mean, just an absurd season, 1,200 receiving yards. He had 20-plus touchdowns. Armani Reed had 1,100 yards receiving, 15 touchdowns receiving, 4 special teams touchdowns. And Caleb Smith did everything that was needed for Staples. And, I loved his quote at the end of the game when, I asked him, I was like, it looks like you left everything out there. And he said, for this town, for this community, for my teammates, it's the only way I was going to play this game. And he did it the entire season. I mean, those 4 or 5 players that I just mentioned, and there are others. I mean, whoever we're mentioning now does not mean that they're on the team. That does not mean that they're the player of the year, but there were a lot of really good players this year. AJ Robinson threw for like 40 touchdowns for Windsor. Maxine Copeland had an amazing year for Windsor. I mean, there's just so many good players this year.
Pandolfi, I think he's injured.
Pandolfi from North Haven. Jeffrey from Cheshire, he was injured as well. I mean, just a great player.
That's going to be it's going to be a tough decision with him because, again, he missed half the season.
Missed more than half,
more than half the season. And a lot of people are asking us, how does he factor into the all-state discussion? And
Pandolfi, though, for sure. I mean, even
how about the guys who helped when Cam Thompson had a great year for North Haven. Maybe even better than Pandolfi did.
Pandolfi's a great punter. Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
everyone joked that he made the team as a punter last year, but he still made the team.
Yeah, he made first team. That is some of the hardest decisions we have to make as reporters. As what we try to be neutral observers in this. There have been plenty of snubs over the years. Steve Young comes to mind. As far as how did you guys not have it? Well, maybe, guys, maybe his high school seasons weren't that good. He was great, but was his high school season as good as it should have been to be a player of the year? There are a bunch of other guys, who over the years have been kind of like, wishing they were the first team guys. So it's not easy. And we don't always get it right. And sometimes even if you go to the NFL, Will Levis is a great example. His team was 4-6 and he was clearly a great player. He didn't make first team for us, but he is playing in the NFL. So, it kind of, does it look funny? Yeah, it looks a little funny, but that's the way it is. We really try to go based on, not only whether you're a good player, but, you actually have to do something in high school. And not that these guys don't, but do they in the context of a season with other guys they're going up against. So it's really have a tough. Coach of the year, Pete. Find any of these guys in the final. Ty Outlaw at Bloomfield finally winning that title. Lou Marinelli going back to back. All the guys who went back to back. TJ Cavalier getting in there, getting back to back. Tony Sagnella getting back to back. How about Adam Behrends? He's on the short list, obviously, number one team. 4 years ago, they were 2-8, which was just unheard of. One of the worst staple seasons of all time in his first year. And you're like, oh man, will this team ever be good again? Any other coaches out there who really deserve a mention, Pete?
Obviously, the ones that you mentioned who won championships, but, Rich Boucher at West Haven has just done an amazing job the last couple of years. Obviously, what has gone on the field and off the field at West Haven, his personal struggles as well. Wilton, EJ D'Annunzio. Look, they went 10-3. They lost to 3 state champions. This is Wilton. Wilton used to be an afterthought. You could consider that Wilton is still an afterthought to certain people in the FCIAC. Staples, Greenwich, New Canaan, Darien, then down, Wilton. Well, Wilton's not going anywhere as long as EJ's there. They're legit players. EJ's a big reason why. Stanko at Watertown. Look, you got to get in at 5-5, and we talked about it, and they shouldn't have been in there. It's a 6th division thing, but you know what, man? To motivate those kids, turn around and look and say, no one thinks we should be here.
Yeah.
You play dangerously. You play free.
Go all out.
And man, they did for him. That hats off. They were sitting at 3-5. Say what you want about the 6 divisions. Say you like it, you don't like it. Should a 5-5 team, whatever, get in? Doesn't matter. They were sitting at 3-5, and they played in the state championship.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
2 yards away.
Job from him.
They were 2 yards away.
An incredible job by Coach Stanko. It's incredible. And you look up and down. There are even coaches who didn't make the finals. Again, Andy Grant, he did make the finals, but another great coaching season. Knickerbocker, great job. Coaches who didn't make the finals also had good years. Yeah. So,
how about this? How about John Johnson? Notre Dame did get into the final. It was just Stanko. Because didn't he like an administrator? He's like
he's the assistant principal at Notre Dame Fairfield.
And we were right about that. They did get to the final. It was just about one guy. He had a great season. Year. Yeah. Lots of guys we could talk about. We're going to be talking about it all week, and the next week, leading up to Christmas, we're going to have our teams picked though by next week, and away we go. So that'll be fun. And then we'll try to keep something. We're going to need to take a big long break. We'll try to keep something going though after New Year's. Maybe we'll come in with occasional updates and do a little podcasting. Some special. I have some ideas cook up. But thanks to everybody who's been really out there and have said they love watching us, and clearly the numbers show. You guys didn't seem to watch much last year, and this year we had like double the numbers, or maybe even more. Especially when you count all those teams that watched us on their up on their projectors, booing us, throwing stuff at the screens when we're picking against them, and then going out there and proving us wrong, as it were. Oh, speaking of the picks, man, shout out to Will Aldam, who won the pick section for the first time. He was what, Pete? He was dead last. Was he behind the 8 ball, literally?
He was, and I'm going to pull it up right now. Will was in week 2. Will was Will went 3-6. Then he went. Then he was 5-14 after 2 weeks. Week 4. He was 14-15. Then he was 22. He just was so bad at the beginning and just rallied.
Yeah, he was so bad. People's like, is he doing this on purpose? Is he tanking on purpose?
He's trying to get a better draft pick. But what a run.
Yeah. Congrats to him. The pick section, everyone, chides us for our picks. Well, see what happened. You don't want us picking. We can't even win our own pick section. So
no. Do you know how many coaches came up to me at the finals and were like, thank you for not picking us?
I have no idea how many.
I had administrators. I had parents. I had coaches thanking me for not picking them because, I totally sitting there being like, ooh, if I don't pick this team, they're probably going to win. Yeah, that's not how it works. I honestly think I'm good at this, and I'm clearly not.
Oh, yeah. I once Thanksgiving hit, I'm like, I am not winning. It stink. And then that first round of playoffs, I was bad. So what are you gonna do? But anyway, so that'll be a wrap for the 2023 season. Thanks to Adam Behrends for joining us. Thanks to Staples, and thanks to all you guys out there for watching. We really appreciate it. Without you, without your feedback, without your support, as they say, without your love and support, we wouldn't be really nearly as enthusiastic doing this. But we do it because we love to do it, and by having the reaction you do, it makes us really, feel like we're, contributing some way to everybody's kind of memories. And years down the road, you can look back on all this stuff and be like, wow, man, I wish I was, 18 again and playing in the state championship, or not even that, just that. Maybe with 18 again, the meat grinder guys come up to Wyndham, go check us out. That's great. We love it all. It's great. I don't know. Pete, you got any last words before you sign off?
At the end of every episode, I tell everyone how much I love them. And it's true. It's a lot of work doing this on a weekly basis, to do 2 shows like we do on top of all the work that we do. So when we hear from all of you, it is really, we really appreciate it. It makes those long nights a little less long. So thank you everyone, for listening. I truly do love you all. And, I can't wait to be doing this again in August.
Oops, let's a long vacation, or we'll get a long Christmas break hopefully, and then we're back at it for the winter season. We'll have some stuff on that too. So all you basketball and hockey guys, and even your wrestling guys and so on, and girls too, we'll try and do some more stuff. But thanks for joining us all year. For Pete Paguaga, I'm Sean Patrick Bowley. This has been the Meat Grinder. Season 6 is over on GameTimeCT.
Love you all.